It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, the perfect day for a backyard and driveway barbecue. My family and I had planned this get-together for weeks. String lights across the fence, tables stacked with food, and a speaker ready with everyone's favorite playlist. Friends and neighbors were arriving, laughing, carrying trays of side dishes, and the smell of ribs already filled the air. But of course, not everything could go smoothly, not in my neighborhood, because right across the street lived Karen, the self-appointed sheriff of the HOA. She had a clipboard in one hand, a phone in the other, and a permanent scowl etched into her face. Karen had always been a thorn in my side, complaining about my grass being half an inch too long, or that my recycling bin was placed 2 feet off regulation distance. Honestly, I think she enjoyed the drama more than the actual rules. Sure enough, before the party even hit full swing, Karen stomped across the street. She didn't even say hello, just started waving her clipboard. "You can't do this!" she barked, her voice cutting through the laughter. "Driveway parties are against HOA policy. Too many cars, too much noise. And," she sniffed the air, "smoke from your grill is a violation." I tried to keep calm. "Karen, it's a family party. It's just one day. Nobody's blocking the street and everyone's parked legally." But she wasn't hearing it. Karen pulled out her phone and announced to everyone, "I'm calling the HOA board, and if they don't answer, I'll call the police." She turned to glare at my guests, who were now watching with a mix of confusion and annoyance. One of my buddies muttered under his breath, "Man, she needs a hobby." I thought maybe she'd back off. But nope. 15 minutes later, 2 HOA board members actually showed up. They walked over looking embarrassed and tried to reason with her, but Karen wouldn't let it go. She insisted I shut the whole thing down immediately. I refused. I'm not canceling my party because one person doesn't know how to relax. The standoff dragged on, tension building, until suddenly a black car pulled up. Out stepped someone Karen would never have expected. Someone who, as fate would have it, was one of my invited guests. And when he walked up the driveway, Karen's face turned the color of a ripe tomato. It was a judge. Not just any judge, but the very same man who presided over disputes in our county. The second the judge, whose name was Judge Richardson, stepped out of his car, the entire mood shifted. Conversations hushed, Karen stiffened, and my guests straightened their posture like schoolchildren caught misbehaving. He wasn't dressed in his robe, of course, but in a casual polo and slacks. Still, his presence carried authority. "Hey," I greeted him with a wide smile. "Glad you made it." He clasped my hand firmly, his expression calm but watchful. "Wouldn't miss it. Smells like you've got some good food going here." Karen's jaw nearly hit the pavement. She blinked, her clipboard trembling slightly in her grip. You know him?" she stammered. "Of course," I said. "He's an old family friend. We go way back." The judge gave her a polite nod. "Good afternoon." Karen immediately shifted into defensive mode. "Well, I suppose you should know that this gathering is illegal. It violates HOA policy, and I'm simply enforcing the rules for the good of the community." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Illegal? Last I checked, barbecuing in your own driveway with invited guests isn't against the law." Karen tried to recover. "Well, it's against HOA guidelines. Too many cars, noise pollution, smoke—" "Excuse me," Judge Richardson interrupted gently but firmly. "Are the cars legally parked?" "Yes," I answered. "Is anyone trespassing?" "No." "Any excessive noise ordinances being broken?" "Not unless laughter counts," I said with a grin. Karen sputtered. "That's not the point. The HOA rules—" The judge held up his hand. "Ma'am, I deal with actual legal disputes every day. If there's a legitimate violation, by all means document it. But right now, what I see is a group of people enjoying themselves responsibly." The board members, who had been standing awkwardly behind Karen, suddenly found the ground very interesting. One of them muttered, "Maybe we should let this go." But Karen wasn't done. She glared at me. "You think having him here protects you? I'll take this to the board. You'll be fined." The judge chuckled softly, not unkindly. "You're welcome to take it up with the board. But perhaps you should also remember that HOA rules can't override state or county law. And from where I stand, there's no legal violation here." Karen's face twisted in frustration. She huffed, spun on her heel, and stomped back toward her house. The whole crowd cheered. Someone even shouted, "Justice has been served!" The judge smiled, but his eyes lingered on Karen retreating. "Something tells me this isn't over," he murmured. By Sunday morning, I thought the storm had passed. The party had gone on without further interruption. Everyone had enjoyed themselves, and even the judge had gone home with a plate of leftovers. I figured Karen would cool down after sleeping it off, but I should have known better. At precisely 9 a.m., there was a loud knock on my door. When I opened it, Karen stood there with her clipboard again, only this time she wasn't alone. She had brought 2 more HOA board members with her, and they looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. "Good morning," Karen said smugly. "We've convened an emergency meeting regarding your violation. You are hereby fined $500 for unauthorized use of your property for an unsanctioned gathering." She slapped a paper into my hand. I almost laughed. "Unauthorized use of my own driveway? Are you serious?" She smirked. "You think you're above the rules? Just because you had your fancy judge friend here. But the board agrees. You broke the rules and you'll pay for it." The 2 board members exchanged glances but stayed quiet. I folded my arms. "I'm not paying a dime for this nonsense. You're overstepping, Karen, and if you push this, you'll regret it." Karen leaned closer, lowering her voice. "We'll see who regrets it." Then she spun around, dragging the reluctant board members with her. That night, I got an email from the HOA threatening legal action if I didn't pay the fine within 10 days. I knew then it was time to fight back. I called Judge Richardson. "Hey, remember yesterday's circus?" Well, it just got worse. After explaining everything, he chuckled. "Sounds like Karen's trying to play lawyer." "Don't worry, I can't represent you, but I can point you toward the right steps. File a dispute. Force them to take it to mediation. They're bluffing, so that's what I did. I filed an official challenge against the fine. Suddenly, Karen's smug grin disappeared. She didn't expect me to fight back. The matter was scheduled for a small claims hearing. And guess who showed up to support me? Not as my lawyer, but as a witness to the ridiculousness of it all? Judge Richardson. Karen was about to learn the hard way that playing HOA dictator had consequences. The day of the hearing arrived, and I walked into the small county courthouse with a folder of documents, photos of the party, and a confidence I hadn't felt in weeks. My friends had even written statements, saying how respectful and orderly the gathering was. And there, waiting with a reassuring smile, was Judge Richardson. Karen strutted in with her clipboard and a stack of papers. So thick it looked, like she was prosecuting a murder case. She wore her most formal outfit and kept shooting smug glances my way. When the case was called, we both stepped forward. The mediator, a calm, middle-aged woman, sat at the desk. "We're here to address a fine issued by the HOA for an alleged violation," she said. Karen immediately launched into her speech. "This man blatantly ignored HOA policy, hosted an illegal gathering, caused noise, smoke, and disturbance, and even tried to intimidate me by inviting a judge to his party." The mediator held up her hand. "Let's stick to facts, please." I presented my side, photos showing cars legally parked, noise levels within limits, even the board members' reluctant acknowledgement that nothing unlawful occurred. Then, to top it off, Judge Richardson spoke. "I was present at the gathering. It was peaceful, respectful, and fully within the homeowner's rights. In my professional opinion, the HOA's fine is baseless and an overreach of authority." Karen's face went pale. "But you can't just—" The mediator leaned back unimpressed. "The HOA may enforce reasonable rules, but it cannot override basic property rights or fabricate violations. I'm dismissing the fine. Furthermore, I suggest the HOA review its practices to prevent misuse of authority." The gavel of reason had fallen. Karen's jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might crack. She snatched her papers, muttered something about appealing, and stormed out of the room. I shook hands with the mediator and thanked Judge Richardson. As we walked out, he said, "You stood your ground. That's what counts." Word spread quickly in the neighborhood. By evening, several residents came by to congratulate me. Some even whispered that they were tired of Karen's antics, too. From that day forward, Karen avoided me. She still patrolled the neighborhood with her clipboard, but she never dared set foot on my driveway again. Justice, it turned out, was best served with barbecue, and a judge as your guest.